you to all the viewers for tuning in. This is going to be an exciting chat with my friend, and I'd like to introduce her right now to everybody. She is the pride of Brockville, Ontario, just like myself, a fellow TIS pirate. Actually, I think you and I both hold a couple of the school records still. You on the, yeah, I don't know. You on the horde cart, me on the pitch, and but I think I maybe used to be known for maybe more of the awesome mullet and the awesome cowboy boots. I think that was my
you
legacy.
rocked it, man.
That was my legacy.
Oh yeah, you had the hair was on point.
Oh.
But every time I turned around, one of the Gill boys had a different hairdo or a look. I mean, I don't know
100%.
what, right? I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you got to have the good flow. You got to have the good hockey flow going. And, you know, for us, you know, we know that you reside now in Chicago, Illinois. And I want to say a big shout out to everyone that's watching from Chicago and across the USA. But we refer to our Stacy as Canada, you know, this is the first lady of Canadian basketball. This is who we're talking to. This is what we refer to her as way up here in the north. And she's a first round pick in the WNBA draft, proud member of the Canadian women's Olympic basketball team, two-time first team All-American with the Oklahoma Sooners, and now the on-air personality of the NFL Network. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, please welcome Stacy Dales.
Well, first of all, it's such an honor to be with you, Randy. I applaud everything you're doing with their opportunity. I just think it's an amazing program. I think that it's something that we need more of in our society, especially in the times that we're in right now. I'm here quarantining in Chicago, and you just brought life to my home office with all that said. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we're really proud of you, you know, for everything that you've done, you know, on the court, of course, but also off the court. And let's go back. Let's go back to be Vegas. Let's go kind of back to the beginning. I know sometimes we want to forget that, but that's our heritage. That's our roots. That's where we're from.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your childhood and how sport became such a big part of your development as a person. And, you know, if you want to talk about influences or coaches or mentors, feel free to kind of take us on that journey a little bit.
Well, you know, I never forget my roots. In fact, I was just on a Zoom call with all of the gals that I grew up with and went to, whether it was New Dublin, you remember New Dublin?
Yes.
An elementary school of 100 kids out in the country, just outside of Brockville, and then TIS, Thousand Island Secondary School. And, you know, any friends along the way, we were all on the Zoom call, and it was quite emotional because everything that you experience as a child really transcends your life. And it is really the foundation for the direction you'll go. And unfortunately, sometimes people have opportunities and some don't. So what you're doing is especially impactful for a lot of kids that don't have opportunities. For me, as you know, I grew up in hockey rinks following Burke all over the place.
Oh, yeah. A shout out to Burke out there. Hey, buddy.
Right. In Calgary.
Yeah.
So I was just constantly clinging on to my mom, Heather's leg in a hockey rink, you know, or traveling somewhere in Eastern Ontario. And thank goodness for the, you know, parents that had young ladies in Brockville that wanted to start a house league for basketball. And that house league was the Brockville Blazers. And, you know, I think about so many names and Ed Bell and all the people that put this thing together. But I probably was about 8 years old. And finally, there was something for young gals. I wasn't going to be a hockey player. So I started playing in this house league, and I realized immediately, and soccer was my first sport, but I fell in love with hoops because I realized, you know, when you see a young kid do something to the point where their spirit just completely screams out of their body, they're so excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember passing the ball to somebody. It was like 8 or 9 years old. And I created such an easy opportunity for her to shoot a layup. And when you're 8 or 9, you don't make every shot. So,
that's for sure. That's for sure. Even you missed a few. I
missed several shots, okay? But she made the layup, and it was like, you know, when you see a kid like celebrate, like as adults, we get embarrassed to celebrate. Yeah. But we should remember that little kid inside of us always and celebrate every moment that we did something along the way, because that little kid lives in all of us, regardless of how old we are.
That's amazing.
So I'll never forget that. And those are my first days of hoops.
That's amazing. That's a good message to send out to everybody that's watching, to connect with the kid inside of you again, especially now. You know, my son is off to the left to me here, and we each time we do these, he kind of snuggles up beside me, and we talk about and reminisce about sport, life, and what it was like as a kid. And I want to be a kid just like he is, and playing outside. And I know we're a little bit more in quarantine and a little more refined right now, but we will be back on the field or on the court or on the ice soon. We know that for sure.
We will. Yeah. There's so much negativity out there, Randy, right now, that I'm a very universally based, faithful person. I believe in my faith that we're going to all come out of this better and stronger. This is a blessing in disguise. Sadly, there's so many people on the front lines that are saving lives and having to work. And I just extend so much prayer work to them, and for wellness and health. But every challenge that we go through in our life is built to make us stronger in some way. And so I really believe faithfully we're going to come out of this. We're going to have football again. We're going to have basketball and hockey.
Yes.
And all the things that take us away from the tough times in life.
That's right. Yeah, I really am missing, obviously, in my life, sport. Of course, I'm addicted. This is my confessional to do these things. I am addicted to sports, but I love connecting with people that get it. You know, that sport gave them something special and that they give back, and we appreciate you giving back. I want to reminisce about the draft for you. For the WNBA, and share with some of the viewers, some of the athletes that are tuning in. What was it like to have your name called first round in the WNBA?
It was surreal, because when you're 22 years old, which is how old I was, which means it's just a couple years ago, really.
Of course.
You don't really know who you are. So when you get drafted to something of that magnitude, you just kind of, pack your bags and go. And that's what I did. I moved from Oklahoma, where I went to school at OU, to Washington, D.C. And I started my life now in Washington, D.C. And it was every situation I've been through, and all the challenges that all the cities I've lived along the way graciously, that was another part of my life. And I played for the Mystics for 3 years and ended up taking a break and came back to the game a year later in Chicago. And that's where I found my favorite city in America, by playing for the Sky.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Never left.
And by the way, it's a little weird to talk about myself this much. I've been doing these radio shows and podcasts. This is so refreshing to be doing it with somebody that I grew up with, and, a family that is just awesome. And so this is really cool. This one's really cool.
Very generous, very generous. It was a little nerve-wracking for me too, because you're the interviewer and here I am interviewing you. It's kind of weird for me too,
I think you're amazing.
Oh, come on now. Come on. Okay. Here's one thing I want to get out there. Good vibes to the world, especially for young female athletes. What type of message do you want to send out to all the young female athletes that are going to see this, that are maybe tuned in currently right now? Give a message to them, that are watching.
Well, it's the message that I started with, and I talk to a lot of young people along the way. I do some college basketball work, and I see these talented kids that are struggling, and I see talented adults that are struggling. And you have to remember why you decided to do something in the first place. And there is an inner child that exists in all of us. That was the reason we became musicians. That was the reason we became directors and CEOs of nonprofits or programs like you. There was something in us that drove our passion to get to that place. And so I would tell all young people, remember that first day that you really decided, this is the sport I love, or this is the instrument I love, whether it's a piano or a guitar, and then attack it. Be grateful that you get to do it, because as we're learning right now, Randy, in this pandemic, it can all be stripped from us in a heartbeat. Yes.
Yeah, attack it. That's a good word for everybody watching, and especially the kids. Attack it. Go all in. Go all in. Okay, so let's switch gears. All of a sudden now you're off the court, and now you're in the NFL Network. You know, and there's a few stages along the way before the NFL Network.
Sure.
But, you know, after this great basketball career, you find yourself, you know, working for the NFL Network and doing an amazing job, by the way. We're very proud of Stacy Dales, everyone. Tell us about that journey. You know, how did that all come to be? And here you are, you know, with the NFL Network.
Yeah, again, the word gratitude comes up all the time for me, Randy, because it hasn't been easy. You know, the journey, you take the journey over the years and you learn from every step. And you have celebrations along the way. I was at ESPN for the first part of my TV career for 7.5 years. And I needed to take some time off to recalibrate and to kind of heal my mind. A lot had transpired in my 20s. And I really needed some time off. And so I took it, and God bless, the NFL Network called me and said, would you come work for us? Amazing. And so this was back in, I think, 2008, the later stages of 2008 or 9. And I've now been with them for over a decade. I think I'm entering my 11th football season. And I love the NFL. Who doesn't?
I know.
It's so cool. Like, I mean, I work hard, and it's always about relationships. It's about building relationships. It's about earning trust.
Yeah.
You know, building trust is a critical component in every foundation, regardless of what we do. And once you establish trust, you always have an opportunity to learn more and be more curious. And so I was actually just on a podcast with a friend of mine, and I think, you know, doing this job and looking at, again, that journey word, remaining curious, trying to learn new things, even a decade into it, has been really important for me. And I think one of the reasons I've been successful.
Yeah, that's amazing. We love the curiosity in you, and you can see it in your face. You're always so curious, and you want to attack and do more, and that shows that you know, kind of stick to itness that you have as well.
Yeah.
To where you were in your career. So we applaud you for that.
Thank
for
you.
All the young viewers, you know, stick to it and attack this. And so you're trying new things. You're doing new things. Like, you know, my team got me on this crazy Insta Live. I don't know what I'm doing with this thing, but here we are. You and I are talking right now, right? So,
I give a big shout out to Adam. Adam and I have been talking back and forth. I don't know who Adam is, but he's got a 613 number, so he's got to be family.
Ottawa. Yeah, he works for us in Ottawa. Adam Gilfillan and Matthew Cronin, Claudia Gutierrez. They're all just putting this all together, and I just show up in front of this little phone that I don't know how to use. So it's great.
And I'm getting quite the kick out of all the comments that I'm seeing on the bottom of our my iPhone. Everybody wants to talk to me and ask me questions about the draft. Like,
okay,
draft?
You know what? Let's talk the draft. Let's do that right now.
Oh my God!
And it's crazy. I found myself more into the draft this year than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you know, maybe there's not enough sporting activity and live activity going on. So this was a real focus for like everyone, especially across North America. And so tell us a little bit about the draft. I'm interested to know kind of behind the scenes for you guys as well as a team.
Yeah.
The NFL Network. How did you and your team handle it? Then we'll talk about some of the winners and losers of the draft.
Yeah, it was quite an undertaking, Randy. I mean, none of us knew, even the NFL didn't know how it was going to work, really. And it turned out being the most watched draft ever in the history of the NFL draft. So, you know, kudos to ESPN, NFL Network, ABC and ESPN are basically related. So that was a transition seamlessly there. But I thought Roger Goodell, I thought everybody did such a great job putting it virtually together.
Amazing. How about the Roger Goodell awkward hugs? That was kind of interesting. I enjoyed that.
How about the Roger Goodell boos? Like,
oh,
you know, creating the fake boos in the screen behind him. That was cool. But listen, I think there's a lot I could say about this. I mean, from my standpoint, I was cooped up inside this home office right here, and my lighting and such, this place is now equipped for TV. But our network, due to the coronavirus, has not still been able to open up for complete live programming. Now we've got you know, plans in place and are executing them to show you guys live programming, but ESPN still has a studio open because they are considered an essential service because they're news cross sport. So so it was tricky, but with what I just said, every report I did was taped. So for instance, on Thursday night after the first round last week, I did a series of reports that were taped until about 3 a.m. that would subsequently air the next day.
Wow.
You know, draft recaps. What did the Packers do well? And then I was, of course, assigned certain teams. So I followed my teams. I listened to all the pressers after the draft was completed on each night. And we did the best we could, which is what we always do in life. You do the best you can with what you're given.
That's right. That's another good word, good message. So let's talk about maybe some of the teams that you follow. Obviously, it's a good place to start, but also, you know, some surprises, you know, like the Pats and the Packers. Everybody's kind of talking about what they didn't do.
Yeah. Well, the Packers was surprising because they moved up to get a quarterback in Jordan Love from Utah State. I love the pick. I was more surprised that they didn't go after a big-time wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers is 36, and, you know, the draft board just didn't work for them that way. But they felt that there was value still in the first round for a developmental quarterback, and that was Jordan Love. I think one of the things I'm excited about is, you know, we always talk about the Dallas Cowboys, they're America's team, but when CeeDee Lamb, who is a fellow Sooner, fell to the Dallas Cowboys, I just thought they went from buzz team to now they should probably win the NFC East.
Legit.
Yeah. I mean, now you've got Amari Cooper and you know, this young man, CeeDee Lamb, who is just unbelievable after the catch. He's a superhuman in the air. I think they're going to be really good. So that was one. I mean, there's other teams that did some things that I really liked that I could go on and on about.
My dad, if you can believe, is just chiming in there about the Dallas Cowboys. Oh yes. Oh, yes. That's for you. That's for you, Paul. That's for you.
Yeah. Oh, and somebody just wrote Amari Pooper. That was that. Okay. We're getting quite the comments.
I guess so. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I wonder if there's any more questions out there. We could just grab one or two before I let you go.
Yeah, I'm happy to stay with you for, you know, as long as you need here, Randy. This is a lot of fun. And I hope that people are having fun watching it. And we should probably do it more often.
I agree. Especially since once we get rolling again. So as soon as they make that announcement, I think you and I need to go live again. That
sure.
Hey, football is back on.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan says, do you miss Brock Vegas?
I do miss Brock Vegas. As I said before, I mean, this is a bunch of hometown heroes, really, for me. What a great city we all got to share growing up. I lived in Spring Valley, which was just about 10 minutes outside of Brockville in the country, closer to TinCap for those that know the area. But all of the great coaches that I had and just mentors that I had, and going to Thousand Island Secondary School and all the awesome, you know, teachers that I had. I think about like Jack Westrade and Ron Hungerford and Holly Lamacraft, and Larry Henry was my basketball coach for forever with the Blazers. All people that, and I'm probably missing some, but had such an influence on my life. And my parents, you know, sadly moved from Brockville to actually, I think in part, be closer to me in Chicago. They left the Brockville area, headed closer to London, Ontario, but in a small town near there. But, you know, so many memories created there that I will always cherish, and that's really set the tone for me. All the coaches I had, Randy, in my life, they all said, go, Stace. And that's another big part for young people that are watching this. Leadership is everything in life. Mm-hmm. And great leaders create championships. They create extraordinary individuals. And that is the power of leadership. Mm-hmm. And I had so many awesome leaders as a kid that always said to me, go, be yourself, do that. Yeah. I remember my first year at Oklahoma, and I used to love to pass the ball. And I remember dinging off like, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 security guards because my passes weren't caught or they were too hard. And my coach said to me, Sherry Cole said to me, throw another one, do it again. Mm-hmm. Don't stop.
Okay.
And, you know, you'll fail, you'll turn the ball over, you'll get intercepted. You have to be willing to throw the next one. If you're not hot, shoot till you get hot.
I love it.
Larry used to tell me that all the time. So
that's amazing. Amazing. Okay, one more question. Favorite moment in WNBA? Favorite moment?
Wow. That's a tough one because I'm always about team first, and my team never won a championship, so that was hard. But we did really well in Washington, D.C. I would probably say being named as a rookie to the All-Star team and being with all of those players. I actually have a ball back there that was signed by all of them on my mantle. So as a rookie in a professional league to receive that honor, my biggest regret is that I wasn't able to win a championship at any level, except with the exception of, hey, with the Blazers and at TIS, we dominated everybody.
Domination.
Nobody was going to beat us.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Well, listen, I want to say thank you so much and continue doing what you're doing. We're really, really proud of you and all that you're doing, all you've accomplished. And thanks for giving back. Thanks for not just like sitting back there and saying, yeah, I'm just doing my own thing now. You actually are, and not everybody knows this, but you're giving back to your hometown and different places where you've been. And we applaud you for that. And thank you for supporting their opportunity and being on with us. I'm looking forward to once the NFL gets back on, you and I are going to go live again.
Let's do it.
Thanks for letting us come into your house like this. I love it.
It's Brandy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love talking football. I've got papers and papers and papers of football in front of me. I could have gone into another 2 hours of just the draft itself. So thank you for the time. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's not be strangers. Let's do it again.
Love it. So thank you. We'll repost all of this on all the socials, so stay tuned for that. And play safe, stay safe, and turn every obstacle into opportunities. Good night, everybody.